Hi everyone, it's Ardyth, and today I'm excited to be taking over Dana's blog and YouTube channel to share in the fun of her Got Joy Creations holiday series for 2019. It runs from November 17th to December 14th, so be sure you're following this series for amazing holiday inspiration, giveaways, discount codes, and don't forget to leave a comment below to qualify for all the giveaways. Today I'll show you 6 different easy ways to add shimmer and shine to your holiday cards. This is the perfect time of year to get sparkly. First way to add shimmer. I started with Nuvo embellishment mousse in pure platinum. I've never used this before, but I've watched a couple of YouTube videos, so the first thing to do is remove the foil seal that is keeping the mousse fresh. In the jar, this has a fairly thick texture, and I'm using a tonic media spatula to take some out and put some onto my glass media mat. As I work with it, it's softening up and becoming more spreadable, and I'm just going to apply it to my Neenah 80-pound white cardstock here to add a subtle coat of shimmer. I kept my strokes horizontal and I tried to keep it as smooth as possible, but wow, look at that shimmer. This is going to be the base of my focal panel. I set it aside to dry for a while. That was easier than I thought, and it's also easy to clean up from the glass mat with just a baby wipe. It is important to clean up quickly after using these pastes. So much easier to do it while everything is still wet. I scraped the excess off my spatula and back into the jar. I wiped the surface clean and then I cleaned off the spatula as well. I used a microfiber cloth to dry off the glass surface, and now I'm ready for my next step. But before that, one of the tips I saw on YouTube is to use some press and seal over the edge of the jar to help preserve it. I simply cut a square and then pressed it down around the edges of the jar before screwing the lid back on top. Once the panel was dry, I got out my Catherine Pooler Twisted Sunburst stencil, and I used Pixie spray on the back. Pixie spray is a removable adhesive, and it won't damage the surface of the panel, but it does help to keep the stencil really stuck down and give you crisp results. Second way to add shimmer. I'm using Nuvo Glacier paste in Golden Era. This is going to create some beautiful rays for my heavenly background. I used the same spatula to spread this paste evenly over the whole surface of the stencil. This has a much softer texture, so I didn't need to work it to make it more pliable. Again, I scraped the excess paste back into my jar, and then I did a final look over to make sure all my areas were covered as evenly as I could get them before carefully lifting up the stencil. This is really pretty now, but that gold gets even better as it dries. It smooths out and becomes very, very shiny. Third way to add shimmer. I have this tiny star confetti from Nuvo in mermaid scales. I sprinkled some on while the glacier paste was still wet. I wasn't sure if it would end up falling off later on, but I thought it would be fun to give it a try. Fourth way to add shimmer. This new pearlescent vellum from Lawn Fawn is gorgeous. It has an iridescent shine on one side, and it will be perfect for my angel. I prepped a strip of the vellum with an anti-static pouch, and then I used my Mini Misty, the Merry Christmas Angel stamp from Catherine Pooler, and my Wow embossing ink to stamp it twice. The Misty makes restamping so easy to ensure that you get a really good impression, which is especially important when you're heat embossing. And now the fifth way to add shimmer. Wow has a number of sparkly embossing powders, and I'm using metallic gold sparkle here for my angel. I used a piece of scrap paper underneath while I poured the powder onto the vellum so that I could easily tip the excess powder back into the jar. Then I placed the vellum into a shoebox lid that I've lined with aluminum foil. I turned on my heat gun to heat up. This lid helps save my fingers from burning, and I think that the heat reflects back from the foil and helps to reduce warping. This is especially important when you're heating vellum because it warps really easily. The less time you hold the heat gun to it, the less warping there will be, so it's important to preheat the gun completely. I used the coordinating die in my Gemini Junior to cut out the angel and also an angel shape from plain white cardstock. I don't want the stencil pattern showing through the angel, so the white layer will make her opaque. And gluing vellum can be tricky, so to glue her down, I used a Nuvo Precision glue pen, and I put glue down only under the embossed outlines so that it won't show through the vellum when it's dry. I put an acrylic block over top while the glue sets. For the sixth way to add shimmer, how about a frame of turquoise lake glitter cardstock? I trimmed a piece down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and then to conserve some, I used a rectangle die to cut out the center. I can save this smaller rectangle for another project. This turquoise lake matches the star confetti perfectly, so it's a great tie-in to my main panel. I ran some adhesive around the frame, and then I used my mini MISTI to help me place it. I removed the mouse pad, and I put the card base into one of the corners, with the fold along one of the edges. Then I laid down the sparkly frame on top so that I get a perfect match, at least down the two sides. If the frame and the card base are slightly different sizes because they weren't cut exactly correctly, I can trim off any excess with my trimmer. I cut some strips of foam tape to just put into the center of the frame. This will help me keep my panel level. If I had put the foam tape on the back of the panel, I may have extended over the frame and created a bump, if you know what I mean. And yes, I do like to use a lot of foam tape. I really want that panel to be well supported. And speaking of the panel, I used this scalloped rectangle die in my Gemini Junior to trim it. Although the panel felt completely dry, I used a scrap piece of paper between the die and my top plate in my die cutting sandwich, just in case. And those stars seem to be sticking just fine. I think they're such a pretty little addition to the background. I stuck the background onto the foam tape on the card, and then I cut some more foam tape to pop up my angel. I lined up my card on my grid, and then placed the angel in the center. To finish the card, I created a peace sentiment in the same way as I did with the angel. I stamped and embossed it, and then I layered it onto white cardstock, and I popped it up below my angel. I love how the scallops of the rectangle echo the curves on the angel's wings. I guess they're also kind of reminiscent of clouds. Perfect! I hope you enjoyed this video. You don't have to use all 6 of these ideas on one card, but Christmas is a perfect time to put them all together to make something really magical. The Got Joy Creation Holiday Card Series runs from November 17th to December 14th. Each day there will be a new holiday card idea to provide you with lots of inspiration for your holiday cards this year. Follow along on Dana's YouTube channel and make sure you leave comments on the daily posts or videos for chances to win. Thanks so much for dropping by.